And this is Ken Kraetzer in New York City at an Avaya meeting and for CBSI. And I have a chance to talk with one of the speakers, a consulting engineer with Avaya, Perry Heliger. And Perry, you gave an interesting talk today that some of the projects Avaya has been supporting, the Olympics in Sochi, a big football stadium in the Southeast Conference, and so many other businesses and municipalities that you're working with, supporting their data and infrastructure needs and ability to communicate. What are just some of the changes you're seeing happening right now?
Well, I'll tell you what, Ken, it's interesting because in our environment, networking has never, in my mind, the past 10 years hasn't gone through as much change as it's done now. We're dealing with sort of an evolution. We want to say revolution, but some people say, well, you're still Ethernet, so how can it be a revolution? Well, it can be, because what we've done is we've gone through the years of actually fixing problems and creating two more problems that go right with it after it. So that's some of our challenge here. With our Fabric Connect technology, we actually simplify the network. So it requires less people to actually manage it. And as a result, we can actually introduce things like security, like people have never seen before from a network of this magnitude. One of the things we were talking about today was video conferencing. And with video conferencing, there's complex protocols like multicast, and people that are running their networks today find it really complicated to say, oh, I want to put this camera on here, now I got to redesign my network to handle multicast. With Fabric Connect and the technologies based on shortest path bridging, we can actually natively run multicast technology and simplify how people do networks. So it's really cool.
And you're talking a lot about having the capacity and how capacity needs are growing exponentially, and having solutions that have redundancy and scalability built into them, and also ones that can be set up relatively quickly. Are those some of the keys that somebody looking at technology needs to consider?
Absolutely, and they've gotten used to this. The statistic is 27 days to actually go from an idea to implementing on the average network. Now, if you go to some of these other folks, they're going to say, no, it takes 3 to 10 months. And you go to another group and they say, oh, we can do it in 10 minutes. That's why it's an average, right? So the problem you run into is networks have gotten so complex. With this technology, I'm almost back to managing bandwidth. And so I'm going to put it in place. I can scale to tens of thousands of video streams in multicast. I can segment services to give me security untouched before, because in comparison, every time I add a virtual network into a traditional network, I got to touch all these different points. In a fabric network, I only touch the edge. Very cool.
And you mentioned video conferencing, a service that's being used more and more, especially both in the corporate environment, but also with people working from home offices or remote sites needing to connect with a home office perhaps or with a client. What are some of the factors in setting up video conferencing?
So we're now stepping out of almost the infrastructure side and really looking at what Avaya does best. And we've been known for telephony services. We've been known for video services more recent. And what's really cool about video services is that you can run video on this simple little device that you're taking our video on today. So I could literally join a video conference call in a location like this or in my home office. So we're seeing more and more what we'll call pervasive video out there, where we don't always see. It used to be that if I wanted to have a video conference, I'd have to go to an expensive room that we bought, and someone would set it up, and we'd now have a video conference. Today, it's as easy as click and go.
And services that smaller businesses might want to consider implementing or expanding their capacity is Wi-Fi for communications with employees, for supporting customers when they're on site, and also, as you were mentioning, for security for all those cameras that are now around buildings.
So that's interesting you mentioned that, because Avaya in June of this past year has introduced a new product in the wireless portfolio, where people today are typically selling 2 radio access points, and you have to either have the 2.4 gigahertz or the 5 gigahertz radio. What's interesting is we actually can give you 70% more bandwidth on our APs, because we allow you to steer traffic and take advantage of things like 2 5 gigahertz radio on the same AP, software programmable. The other cool thing is we can do application filtering right at the access point. So that enables us not in school environments. You have students that aren't supposed to be tweeting at lunch or not lunch, in their class or Facebook. We can block it right at the AP. So we save all that sort of area as far as the bandwidth. The other thing is we've extended Fabric to the APs. So what I mean by that is simplicity of adding a user is by authentication. They can put in the correct network and it's transmitted across the network.
And we're talking with Perry Heliger, and just maybe to sum up, we have this explosion in the use of smartphones, tablets, and therefore devices that customers and visitors to public sites like stadiums or airports are using. Where is this all going to be in a few years from now?
Everybody's feeling entitled these days. Wouldn't you agree, Ken? Everybody wants to get their phone out, and they just want it to work. What you're going to see are malls that you walk into that actually you might use their network and they market to you real time. Or you might want to be able to go into that mall, and I'm working with one particular mall that's going to have like 60 upscale restaurants, and we're spending the day there, and I might want to have dinner at one of their restaurants, and boom, I'll pop it on my smartphone and I'll have a reservation dynamically done. So you're going to see the smartphone thing. The average shows that the people are actually carrying more than 2 devices every day with them, whether it's their laptop, their smartphone, and their iPad. So that's pretty much it. Thanks.
It's amazing, and you've got a great ability to explain what the backup infrastructure is required. Perry Heliger, good to speak with you. Perry, you're a senior consulting systems engineer for Avaya based in Reading, Pennsylvania.
Yep, thank you very much.
Pleasure to talk with you today. This is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI at the Avaya meeting today in New York City.